Imagine a man who turned ambition into an empire, charm into a weapon, and greed into a lifestyle. This is the story of Jordan Belfort, the infamous Wolf of Wall Street. But behind the flashing lights, luxury yachts, and endless champagne lies a darker tale, a tale of deception, excess, and the human cost of chasing the American dream at any price. Belfort began
As a young,
ambitious stockbroker on Wall Street in the late 1980s. Fresh out of college, he was eager, energetic, and hungry to succeed. Early setbacks taught him quickly that Wall Street rewards not just intelligence, but audacity, cunning, and relentless drive. Mistakes cost him jobs, but they also became lessons. Belfort realized that to rise above the ordinary, he had to think bigger, act bolder, and manipulate the rules in his favor. He founded Stratton Oakmont, a brokerage firm that would become both legendary and infamous. But Belfort's genius was not just in selling stocks, it was in understanding people. He mastered the art of psychological manipulation, learning to read his clients' fears, ambitions, and desires. His strategy was simple yet devastating. Find cheap, nearly worthless stocks, pump their value by creating hype, and then dump them for massive profits, all while leaving the investors with losses they barely understood. Belfort trained his brokers meticulously. They weren't just salespeople, they were predators, equipped with scripts designed to manipulate emotions. Hesitant clients were reassured with fabricated stories of success. Skeptical investors were overwhelmed with pressure and urgency, made to fear missing the next big opportunity. Every call was carefully orchestrated, every word calculated to trigger greed or panic. Belfort understood that most people make decisions based on emotion rather than logic, and he exploited this expertly.
The culture within Stratton Oakmont mirrored Belfort's personal philosophy: wealth at any cost, success measured in power and indulgence. The office was a mix of frenetic energy and chaotic pleasure. Brokers competed to close the largest deals, motivated by the promise of instant wealth. Champagne flowed freely. Cocaine and quaaludes fueled the long nights, and parties blurred the line between work and debauchery. Exotic cars lined the parking lot, private jets waited on the tarmac, and luxury yachts hosted celebrations that seemed almost surreal. Yet, beneath the glamour and wildness, the law was closing in. The FBI was watching, slowly piecing together the network of fraud, money laundering, and deception. Stratton Oakmont's empire, built on lies and manipulation, began to fracture. Whistleblowers emerged from within, and Belfort's carefully constructed faud started to crumble. He tried to hide assets, cover tracks, and evade justice, but the investigation was meticulous. Every inflated number, every falsified record, every fraudulent transaction became evidence of a life lived on the edge. As the net tightened, Belfort faced not just legal consequences, but personal ones. Addiction took its toll. Relationships strained under the weight of excess. The thrill of power was shadowed by paranoia and fear of exposure. Yet even as the walls closed in, Belfort remained charismatic, persuasive, and defiant, a man who had turned deception into an art form. Eventually, he was convicted and sentenced to prison. He paid millions in restitution to the victims he had defrauded, and his empire of illusion was dismantled. Yet, he reinvented himself, transforming from criminal to motivational speaker, sharing the lessons learned from a life consumed by ambition, greed, and temptation. But the story of the wolf is not just about crime, it is a cautionary tale about human nature, vulnerability, and the seductive power of wealth. Belfort's charm could blind even the smartest investors. His story reminds us that unchecked ambition, coupled with manipulation and greed, can lead to devastating consequences. And while the luxury and excess may dazzle, the cost is often measured in lives disrupted, trust betrayed, and morality compromised. The legend of Jordan Belfort endures, not merely for the crimes he committed, but for the intoxicating story of power, excess, and the choices that define us. Because in the high-stakes world of Wall Street, The line between genius and criminal is razor thin, and the price of crossing it can be catastrophic. So, when we look back at the Wolf of Wall Street, we are forced to ask ourselves, what would we risk for success? How far would we go to achieve wealth, power, and status? Belfort's life may be extreme, but it serves as a mirror, reflecting both the allure and the dangers of ambition unrestrained. And in the end, perhaps the greatest lesson of all is this: no amount of money, no matter how vast, can escape the consequences of deception, greed, and moral compromise. The Wolf's story is thrilling, shocking, and unforgettable, but it is also a warning that rings far beyond Wall Street.